I want you to know, as the youngest Taoiseach ever, I get it, and I'm really determined to work every day to make sure this country does work for younger voters.
Taoiseach, very good to see you here. You're brave no coach today. Now in here.
So Fine Gael leader Simon Harris is about to sit down and have a chat with us. We're going to put some of the questions you've been raising with us to him now. We've been going all around Ireland talking to young voters, and a lot of them have been telling us that Ireland just isn't really working for them right now. Cost of living is too high, things are too expensive. Fine Gael have been in government for over a decade, and for these people who are feeling a little bit hopeless and wondering why they should put their trust in you, what would you say to them?
Well, it's a really good question. I mean, firstly, I'd point out to them, I suppose, that I am a new Taoiseach and a new leader, only in the job 7 months. I'd also say to them, look, the last number of years have been really difficult. If we look back through the last decade, we've had a financial crisis, we've had COVID, we've had Brexit, we've had an inflationary crisis. But there are now real reasons for hope, because our country now has both the money and the plan to make real progress on the issues that I know matter for them.
Enjoy. Nice to see you. How are you? Have a good day. See you later. How are you?
Hello, how are things?
Good to see you all.
How was that, girls? And for the people who are stuck at home with their parents now, they're wondering how they're going to pay next month's rent. You know, they hear these promises, they need action. They're wondering, you know, do you understand why they have their doubts that you might be able to deliver on these promises?
Oh look, I absolutely understand that housing is the number one challenge, particularly for younger people in this country. What I would say to them though is elections are always about choices. Lots of different parties put forward their ideas. My party is very firmly saying we're going to keep the first-time buyer scheme. We're going to actually increase the level, because I've been listening to young people and they've said you need to get that up, so we're going to make it worth €40,000. That is a crucial lifeline for people to get the deposit. It's not a perfect scheme, but it does bridge the gap while we increase supply.
Like I hear what you're saying about Help to Buy, and it's great when it works for people, but there's some people, you know, the system's great when it works, but it doesn't work for everyone. That's how they're feeling right now.
And can I say to them, because you're right, you're entirely right, that works for somebody who wants to buy a new home. But there's a lot of people who say, well, that's grand, Simon, but until there's more new homes built, I've actually found a second-hand home and I can't get government support. So we're changing the first home scheme to allow that to be eligible for second-hand homes as well. And that, I genuinely mean, has come up with conversations I've been having on the doorsteps in porches of people's mothers and fathers' houses when they said, could you make that change?
Hey Simon, how are you? Sorry to interrupt your coffee. How are you?
You know, a lot of the opposition say change. That's what they can bring to the table. What would you say to that?
Well, I want young voters to know that I'm hearing them on change. And indeed, since I've become leader, I've changed our policy focus in a number of areas to try and respond. My party offers a fully funded housing plan, €40 billion that we're going to spend on housing over the next 5 years. 303,000 more homes will be built, including private homes, and we will help you get the deposit together to buy. But we also offer this. We offer an ability to make sure we can keep our country safe. There's a lot of countries across Europe now having to make very difficult budget decisions, increasing taxes, cutting spending. We actually have a position now to continue to help people with the cost of living.
You know, you say you're the youngest Taoiseach ever. You also have really embraced TikTok and other social media platforms. You know, what we're hearing from people on those platforms is they need action now. They want the politicians to really make a difference in their day-to-day lives. Is that what you're getting from people there? Do you think it's important to be on those platforms?
I think it's really important to be on those platforms, and a lot of people try to, I don't know whether they sneer at me or slag me for being on them, but I think it's really important. You know, we've got to be where voters are, we've got to be where citizens are, and I actually think if centrist politicians leave those platforms, I think in many ways it leaves a vacuum where often misinformation and disinformation from the likes of the far right can be spread. So even when issues are difficult and tough to discuss, I think it's important to be there. Now, as I always say to people, I never get elected by talking on social media. I get elected by shoe leather, meeting voters, talking to people around the country. But it is another way of communicating and listening. And you also get feedback as well. Lots of comments, lots of messages.
What kind of feedback are you getting?
Lots of people asking me questions, and when I see a repeated trend of people raising issues, for example, a lot of younger people have contacted me through social media on the issue of Palestine. And I agree with what they're saying, that we're seeing a war on children, that we're seeing a humanitarian crisis. That has continued to embolden me to go further and to take action. So recognising the state of Palestine being one thing, but now wanting to pass the Occupied Territories Bill, because we have to do everything possible in this country to take a stand here, because what's happening is utterly horrific, unacceptable, and war crimes are underway.